Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Fairly Often podcast. I'm really excited and really happy to have you guys here, especially for today's episode, because today is the first day that we're jumping into growth needs. Today is the first day that we're moving away from specifically deficiency needs and moving into getting towards self-actualization. For all of the people who already have all of their deficiency needs met, meaning you have your living environment, you have food consistently, you have financial stability, and you have sexual partners, and the security and ability to maintain and control those situations in your life, then we move on to growth needs. And the thing about deficiency needs is you're going to continually come back to those throughout your life, at different periods in your life. We're going to probably reference several times the 2-step forward, 1-step back scenario, because this trajectory towards self-actualization has 1 step backwards at times when you have a deficiency need that comes up that you have to go back and touch on. So I hope you guys are all having a great day and you've been able to work on your meditation, work on your gratitude journal, and get some good skills underneath your belt. So today, bust out our tablet. So today we're talking about love and belonging. So this is tier 3. Love and belonging can encompass friendships, intimacy, family, and a sense of connection. So intimacy falls in this because sex falls under a deficiency need because it is a core need for adult human functioning. But intimacy, just because you're having sex, doesn't mean that you're having intimacy. Doesn't mean that you're having fulfilling relationships or the ability to share who you are in an intimate way with someone else or have them be intimate with you. So intimacy falls into the love and belonging category. So I just want to make sure that we point out that some of these seem like they can overlap with each other. Generally speaking, deficiency needs must be fulfilled before growth needs can be attended to. So, like we talked about yesterday in yesterday's episode, there are people who go on spiritual journeys. There are people who try to transcend to enlightenment through restricting of food, of water, of sleep, of different type of basic needs restriction. So we're going to say, generally speaking, your deficiency needs have to be met for you to get to self-actualization. Some people are going through periods of purposeful not doing it to reach self-actualization, and if you're on that journey, I would love for you to come on the show and talk to me about it. Love for you to hop in the video chat so we can talk about what deficiency needs mean to you, and if food, water, or sleep isn't yours, like, what are your deficiency needs then? So growth needs relate to having meaning and purpose to our lives, making life worth living. Belongingness and love needs relate to our need to feel like we're an accepted member of social groups. These groups might include family, friends, work, or other social connections. So growth need, and specifically this like love and belonging need, helps with us to develop our identity, help our self-esteem, being connected to groups, like most of the other needs that you have to reach self-actualization, if unmet, can lead to illness, mental health issues, sickness like depression, anxiety, or actual physical ailments. So, love and belonging, especially being accepted, like in a lot of the research, it talks about being successful and being someone who makes a lot of money at work, but maybe not having a good relationship with the people in your workplace, and how that can have an impact on people's self-actualization. So I want to talk about the greater our deficiency, the greater the deficiency of your basic needs, so anything on the lower end of the pyramid, the more we distance reality to fit our expectations. So when you're having a deficiency need, you treat people in accordance with their usefulness and helping you satisfy your most deficient needs. And when you live in a world of deficiency, you're more likely to use a variety of defense mechanisms to protect yourself from the pain of having such deficiency in your lives. Our defenses are quite wise in the sense that they can help us to avoid unbearable pain, and they can feel like too much to bear at the moment. So if you're having a deficiency need and you're living in that state of mind, you're going to treat people in ways that help you fulfill those needs. And it might not be necessarily beneficial for that person. It might not be beneficial for you. Like we talked about yesterday, when people operate in a sphere of fear, right, then you get fight or flight. And fight or flight is the rushing of chemicals in your brain to cause action from you. And when you're getting that rushing of chemicals, you're not exactly processing the most logically. That's why it's called the deficiency realm, or living where you're processing mostly based on deficiencies. So what most people need to do is have those deficiencies filled so that you can move on to a sense of the being realm of existence, meaning like what's going on currently. So although you get skills to fulfill your deficiency needs, like when you have something negative going on in your life, or where you're lacking in something, you're going to be called to action to do something about it, right? You're not going to just sit there and let yourself wilt away. So when you're called to action to do something about things, whatever that thing is, you develop a set of skills to be able to be more aptly able to deal with circumstances, and especially that particular circumstance that was causing you a grievance, where you were going without, where a need was being unfulfilled. You learn particularly how to fulfill that need. So whether that be to get food, to get shelter, people learn a certain trajectory of how to do things. And the older you get, it's implied that you have more experiences, so more different types of ways of doing things, or more proficiency at doing a thing in a specific set of ways. So if you know how to make money by getting a job, and you only ever get jobs for 40 years, then you'll be really proficient at learning how to get jobs to make money. If you learn to make money through starting a business or being an entrepreneur, by getting a job, by investing and learning the stock market or, the cryptocurrency that's going on, a multitude of ways of making money, and you do a variable number of those for 40 years, you'll learn a lot of different ways to make money. So you either get really proficient at one way or you learn in multiple different ways. Either way, it's supposed to get you to the end goal of existence, right? So anything that you have a need of, then you learn those skills over time and move forward with that in your back pocket as a thing that you can pull out whenever that need arises again. So Maslow argued that even though when you're having a deficiency need, you're learning skills to meet deficiency needs, that growth needs have a different sort of wisdom that's associated with them. When you're having a deficiency need, you're using defense wisdom. And when you're having a growth need, you're using growth wisdom. So, living in the realm of not having any deficiencies, right? Like you're not lacking in sleep, you're not lacking in food, you're not lacking in shelter, you're not lacking in financial stability, and you have your control of all of those, you start to live in a realm that is like taking the cloud off. Like you don't have that rush of emotions, a rush of chemicals going into your brain at all times. You start to live in a world where you don't have all of those anxieties and all of the impact to your physiological being that come from emotional issues, and you also start to have the cognitive processing and the ability to see things from an unclouded judgment. So instead of being driven by fears, anxiety, suspicions, and the constant need to make demands on reality, one is more accepting and loving of oneself and others. Seeing reality more clearly, growth wisdom is more about what choices will lead me to greater integration and wholeness rather than how can I defend myself so that I can feel safe and secure. So that part is really important because that's how your brain is looking at a situation when you're having a deficiency need, is how can I be safe and secure? How can the people in my life help me fulfill that need of being safe and secure? Versus when you already have that, you can start to move to the space of like, how can I feel greater wholeness? How can I actually reach my full potential and do the thing that I'm here on earth to do? So Abraham Maslow once wrote, one can choose to go back towards safety or forward toward growth. Growth must be chosen again and again. Fear must be overcome again and again. So growing is hard. No one ever said that it's easy. And getting good at things, trying new things, gaining skills, you have to pick that over and over again so that you can live a life of self-fulfillment. So when this theory about happiness, this theory about self-actualization, when this came into the forefront of psychology, most people were looking at deficits in life and the people who had the biggest issues in society. And famously, Maslow said that Freud gave us the issues that people had, and now we needed to find solutions for those issues. So the psychology of issues is looking at the people who had the worst going on, the things that were ailments in society. And Maslow decided to look at the most successful people, the people who were considered to be fulfilled and to considered to be like the most flourishing people in our society or societies around the world. So instead of looking at the unhealthy, he chose to look at the healthy and the people who seem to have had life figured out, and find out what characteristics of those that were common among those people, so that it can be given to other people who were trying to become more self-fulfilled in society. So the most flourishing people among us are those motivated by trends to self-actualize are motivated by trends of self-actualization of potential capacities and talents as fulfillment of a mission, as a floor knowledge of and acceptance of the person's own intrinsic nature, and as an unceasing trend towards unity. So when we talk about intrinsic value, we talk about people doing things that come naturally to them, that are naturally good for them, and that they do that contribute in some way to society at a greater length. So we talk about poets have to write poems and singers have to sing, and people who are nurturers have to nurture. People whose fulfilling goal in life is to be some type of artist or creator or something like that, they have to do that thing in order to be fulfilled. And when I was looking up articles and things to read for you guys to talk about being a part of a community or being fulfilled in the sense of love and belonging, they talked about self-actualization and people determining what their purpose in life is. And that it's hard to determine what your purpose in life is if you don't do things, if you don't go out and have behaviors and activity, that you can't really find out what your intrinsic value is, that you can't understand what you're naturally good at if you don't go out and do things. So although you're going to have an interest in things and maybe not be great at it, that there's value in you trying to solve problems, but also trying to figure out what it is that you're put here to do and what your purpose is, so that you can fail and then find what you're good at. Does that make sense? Like, you can like something and try it and then fail and then figure out that you have another skill. And so instead of trying 100% wholeheartedly to say, like, I'm trying to figure out my purpose, just figure out things that you like to do and things that you could genuinely put investment in, so that you can figure out if that is what your purpose in life is. Or because they posit that people won't be able to invest wholeheartedly in things that they're not good at, and that over time, like, you're gonna become better at things naturally. So I don't know, I just wanted to write that down for you guys. So when we're talking about intimacy and love and belonging, most of the research says that if you don't find a sense of love and belonging, your issues are most likely going to be depression and isolation and sadness. So some of the detrimental side effects of depression, other than a mental health and mental fatigue is like trouble with memory or decisions, insomnia, feelings of clinginess. You'll have constricted blood vessels, increased pain sensitivity, lower interest in sex, risk of heart attack, weight fluctuations, fatigue, and a weakened immune system. So, love and belonging seems really important because you're going to be suffering with all of these things. Now, just anecdotally, I'm naturally an introvert, and I don't know how many of you are naturally introverts, but being out in public normally seems, one, super unsafe to me. I get approached a lot by other people. I'm generally scared and have been scared most of my life of like people that I don't know. And going out in public is really hard for me. So the feeling of belonging has been something that I've had to work on consistently throughout my life as a overcompensation for what feels most natural. And when I started to read about these things and like research self-actualization and research happiness, and finding out that like growth is hard and that you're gonna be naturally pushed to want to go back to safety, but inside, the people who evolve and the people who pass on the greatest skills to the next generation are the people who picked growth in uncomfortable situations to get over the thing that felt most comfortable to them. So I'm probably going to start here in the future actively choosing to do some of the things that I'm going to talk to you guys about today that it said can help contribute to love and belonging. Love has never really been hard for me, like loving people or finding my love life. I have almost consistently throughout my life been non-monogamous and ethically non-monogamous for the last 7 years. And figuring out what non-monogamy was helped me to understand my love life, although I never necessarily had problems finding people to give nurturing or intimacy or love to, because that is one of my core base needs. Like, I wake up every day with the need to be intimate and the need to make sure that I'm helping someone feel like they're a part of the world. So when I figured out that that was a need that I couldn't go without, that every day, even like without food or water or like any of those things, it would be fine for me, but I couldn't go without intimacy. Like, that thing would drive me absolutely crazy. So when I figured out what ethical non-monogamy was, I understood my love life a lot better. And hopefully in these episodes and doing this podcast, people will come on and talk about their intimacy and the way that they experience love, or the way that they find belonging for them in their life and how that impacts them, so that you guys can see different ways. Because generally in media, like, I want to say probably 99% of the time for the last 100 years, I don't know, like, almost all media is monogamous, and almost all media up until recently has been heteroflexible, or at least heteronormative in that sphere of man and woman. And so I feel like a lot of people have probably felt disconnected with their sense of love, and learning about different types of love and learning about non-monogamy, learning about like people who are happy without getting married, people who are single dating. Like, I think that it would be helpful so that you can feel more connected. So although the love part has been, I mean, I guess that's the part of my life that I have the most like emotional hardship with, and the part that's like the most tied and rooted to my successes throughout the day, or at least the way I look at myself. Belonging, I've been missing that, and I think that you have to have both in that sphere. You have to have both love and belonging. You can't just have a relationship. You have to have connection with your community and sense of self or family. When I was doing research, it said that children, because they're in a state of dependency, they need love from their family and a sense of belonging with their family to feel fully developed as a child, and to help them move on to being fully developed adults. And that the love and belonging that comes from your family, if you go without that, you can seek that out almost entirely in your adulthood, but you'll never get it. And if you do get that as a child, you'll still want that as a core need when you get to adulthood, because I was attached to your survivability as a child. So there's no point in life ever that you will be able to feel fulfilled or happy without love and belonging, like even from childhood onwards. So turn my iPad back the other way. So there's a general consensus that optimal functioning of the whole system requires both stability of goal pursuit in the face of distraction and disruption, as well as the capacity for flexibility to adopt and explore the environment. So, the human brain was designed by natural selection to mislead us, even enslave us. All that our genes care about is getting propagated into the next generation, no matter the cost to the developmental of the whole person. If this involves narrowing our worldview and causing us to have outsized reactions to the world that aren't actually in line with reality, so be it. So, like, more iteration on the way in which you process I feel like this went out of order. Oh, here we go. Okay, it says, if you plan on being anything less than you were capable of being, you will probably be unhappy all the days of your life. But after years of stagnating with the bad habits and destructive behavioral patterns, how can you become self-actualized? So, if you plan on being anything less than you were capable of being, you will probably be unhappy all the days of your life. That's actually a really cool quote. So, if you plan on being anything less than you were capable of being, you will probably be unhappy all the days of your life. So, like we talked about yesterday, in the goal of self-actualization, you're supposed to wake up every day and ask, what is your purpose? What are you meant to be here to do? And to work toward that at all times without unwavering, like, if a need comes, address the need and move on. To not stay in a place of stress or anxiety. And I think that this is, like, if you plan on being anything less than you are capable of being, you'll probably be unhappy. It's like, I hope no one plans on being less than they're being. I think it's maybe just like a chance of happenstance, which is the admission that you're not really necessarily in charge of your own life, which I don't think that if we have self-awareness that we can really go through and say that we don't have control of our own lives. It was really funny. I was watching a podcast yesterday on YouTube. I was watching an episode of a like popular relationship podcast, and one of the guys came on and said he had a girlfriend of 2 years, and his girlfriend started to put on weight and she let herself go. And the host of the podcast was like, you mean you both, like, you let herself go? And tried to have him take some accountability of that. You knew at some point before it got to be an issue for you that you could have acknowledged it, had some awareness of the situation, addressed it, and put implementations into place that you would be happy. And the guy admitted that he really didn't take ownership of having any awareness of the situation, of accountability, that like it was his responsibility to make sure that if he thought his girlfriend was quote unquote letting herself go, that like he should address it by being aware that it was becoming an issue for him before it was already well into being an issue for him. Because that podcast is so far, that relationship show is so funny to me. But okay, so I want to talk about, I need to scroll down a little bit because I think that it would be really helpful, since this is a first episode about love and belonging, and this is like jumping into the core concept of what it is and how it can be helpful. I think that we should talk about like places that it comes from, and then like if you're not addressing it or don't have this specific one, like how can you impact it or improve it. So love and belonging can come from many different sources. The most common ways people meet these needs are through friendship, family time, social activities, romantic relationships, community activities, projects, and events. So after you meet your core needs, your basic needs, your safety, your security, your physiological needs, your sleep, your eating, your all of that, you're going to move on to this love and belonging section, which if you assess your life, do like a quick inventory and say like, how do I feel about my friendships? One time I was with my best friend and we were at her pool, and she was talking about the way she assesses her life, and she was like, you know, I love my family, and me and my family have good relationships, and most of my friends and we all have really good relationships, and I love all of them. I love my job. I've been there for years. They love me. I live in a great house. I love that. And she was like, the only thing I hate is like my weight. And it was really interesting to watch her. At the time, I didn't know that this is what she was doing, but now in hindsight, I can see it. But at the time, it was really cool to watch her go down her list of things that she felt were important, or things that she saw impacted her day-to-day life, and how she generally felt about them. Like, that her meter was already on this line, right? Like, she already knew she was happy with her job, but then when she sat down and really thought about it, it was like, oh yeah, I am happy with my job. So I think because she was already living like a fulfilled life, and the only thing as she was struggling with was her weight, was that her general happiness overrode like any of her psychological issues, because everything else she's like doing good with. So that's something that you guys should also do, is just sit down and do a quick inventory of how you feel like these are doing. Like, how do you feel like your friendships are? If you do a quick inventory, like, do you talk to your friends enough? Do your friends talk to you? Do you guys have quality conversations that you feel are contributing to the relationship? Do you have shared moments that are meaningful, or activities that you do in common to bond you? Are your friendships long and lasting? Are you able to invest in your friends the way you're able to invest in your romantic relationships or in your family relationships? Like, just do quick assessments of how you think that friendship is going. And then the next way you can get love and belonging is through family time. So see like what kind of interactions you have with your family. And even if it's not specifically like, oh, I spend an hour with my family every day or something, or I do this with them, the time you are with them, how is that? Like, even if you're with them all day, every day, do they allow you to be yourself? Do they help contribute to your growth? Do you allow them to be themselves? Do you guys have shared goals and missions? Like, even if you don't spend a lot of time with your family, the time you are spending, or the time that you're thinking about your family, like, what is the quality of that? And then social activities, which ones do you have and which ones do you do? And do they fulfill your purpose? Are your social activities things that are just time wasting, or just creating your ability to not grow and to live in a sense of comfort? Like, what social activities are you taking part in? And then your romantic relationships. So I often talk to people about the belief that culturally longer relationships are more valuable, where people say if someone's been married 20 years, there's some type of rosy look at that from society, that is praised. And in my estimation, I think that people who are happier and themselves and having relationships that are uniquely fulfilling and lead to a place of specific happiness are much more valuable than long-term romantic relationships. I think that a lot of the time friendships can be more long-term, whereas your romantic relationships, you should really be striving to be wholeheartedly you and asking that person to be wholeheartedly themselves, so that if the relationship doesn't have validity, you can find that out quicker and find a romantic partner that is fulfilling. Because that's just my personal opinion, that romantic relationships shouldn't be used as a placeholder to gain society favor. But if that is a part of your love and belonging, and cultural needs and society requires that of you for you to feel a sense of love and belonging, um, go for it. There's acknowledgement in this research that love and belonging is difficult if people are marginalized, and if you're a minority, or if you live in a particular environment that is not conducive to your growth. If you're an outlier and you feel like the people who are around you do not accept you, or you are particularly different from your environment, self-actualization through a sense of belonging is going to be tremendously hard. And there's ways to grow your love and belonging, but one of the biggest ones is to make sure that your environment is accepting of you and not just tolerating. When I was in college, we went to this place called the Museum of Tolerance, and a lot of us were, when asked about the name, were taken aback by kind of our assessment of the negativity of the word tolerance, and how we felt like tolerating something is allowing it to exist even if you don't like it, versus acceptance, where you're taking something in and asking it to grow. So hopefully you're not just in environments of people tolerating you, because that's gonna be tremendously hard for you to fulfill this love and belonging need. So besides social activities, family time and friendship, romantic relationships, and also community activities. So activities that are maybe not necessarily social in nature, but like based on the community projects and events, things like that. So ways to satisfy your love and belonging needs. If you aren't meeting your love and belonging needs, you have a very wide assortment of ways to do it, and here are just a few of them. So thankfully, in this first episode about growth needs, it'll give you some ways to grow if you are already in this sphere, like if you've already hit your deficiency needs, or if you feel like you can add this on in some way. Because in the research about growth needs and about this sense of love and belonging, there's an acknowledgement that belonging to a community can help with all of these other needs and self-actualization. That love and belonging can impact your physiological needs directly. They reference if there's a loss in your family and you belong to a community, they will come and bring you food and take care of you and help in the grieving process. And normally in a grieving process, you will go without taking care of your basic needs. So that's one acknowledgement, or that's one reference of how being a part of community can take care of that physiological need. Or like if you don't have a place to live, being a part of a community or having someone that loves you will provide shelter for you at times. Or like if a building collapses and you don't have anywhere to live now, like people that you're a part of a community will shelter you. So that's like a physiological need. And then in security, it's like there's more safety in numbers. So belonging to a community and having more people who agree with you, or more people who have the same mindset for you, or honestly, generally just more numbers, so you're more physically present in the face of danger. But it's like if you have 1,000 people who like the thing that you like, and there's 100 people who dislike the thing you like, it feels very differently also in a sense of security and control and mental health. If it's like 2 people like the thing you like, or nobody likes the thing you like, and 100 people dislike it, right? So if you have like 1,000 people like it and 100 dislike it, it's like we're 10 to 1. Nobody cares that you dislike it. It doesn't impact my mental health. It doesn't make me, consider your point of view, nothing. But if 100 people dislike it and I'm the only one who likes it, then I'm going to be considering my sense of belonging. I'm going to have mental health, like anxiety about like, is this the right choice? Why do I like things that other people don't like? So having a sense of love and belonging can impact your other tiers on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So building friendships is one way that you can help meet your needs of love and belonging. Meeting people isn't extremely hard for most people. However, if you have social anxiety, it may be difficult. In that case, getting help with that mental health issue can help you feel better about being around other people. Then, once you meet people, you need to go further. You can bond with them over shared interests or activities. Showing compassion and have empathy for friends can also deepen your relationships. So if you have social anxiety, if you are not able to go out and talk to people, or not able to meet people, or like are an introvert like me but don't have the ability to fight that insecurity, or fight that ability to be comfortable. For me, it's to be comfortable. Like, I'm an introvert, so I don't like going out, and that's comfortable. And if I decided to continue to be comfortable, there's no issue seeking out help with mental health. A counselor, a talk therapist, a social worker, to go talk to somebody to help you with a mental health problem. Because if growth signifies good, and growth signifies healthy and comfort and safety, like safety to the point of stagnation, where you don't grow because you want to be so safe, then maybe you go talk to somebody so then you can go out and make friends, so that you can learn skills. And then once you go out and meet people, try to find shared interests. Try to bond over them by you being empathetic. So you can nurture romantic relationships. If you're in a romantic relationship but don't feel strongly connected to that person, you may not feel a sense of love and belonging with them. To increase those feelings, spend quality time with them. Show them that you care. Talk to them openly to develop intimacy. Share your joys and your challenges. Also show physical affection to them. So if you're in a romantic relationship, then learn your partner's love languages. Try to figure out things online. Like, you don't always have to go to relationship counseling. You can just look up things online of how to have communication in a relationship. What are things that you should do in the first 3 months of dating? Like, you can look up things online, and there's always those like female and male magazines that like tell you like ways to grow in relationships. So if you don't have one, then you can try to find one. Which, if you need help dating, you can put questions in the Discord, or come on Twitch and ask, or comment on this video and I will see them, and then I can talk to you about dating and your dating preferences or anything like that. Or at the end of the show, you can just comment and tell me like what you want. But nurturing a romantic relationship, if you have people that you're romantic with, trying to get stronger connected with them, and then if that connection doesn't work, moving on to get another romantic relationship, honestly. So expand your social sphere. When you don't feel a sense of love and belonging, it's easy to stick with the people you know best. Even if you don't feel strongly connected to them, at least you know what to expect. You can meet some of your belonging needs by going to social events. Instead of turning down social invitations, get out to social gatherings sometimes to be with more people. So, like I said, it's easy to just hang out with your friends and not grow. Safety and security. I'm so worried about being in social events. But going out and meeting more people, if you don't feel a sense of love and belonging, may give you a different social circle, may give you more people to share interests with you. Just one person can change your life. So if you're feeling like a lack in that area, go out. Spend time with your family. Get involved with your community. So there are many ways to get involved in your community. You can attend local recreational events, parade, crafts fairs, and other organized events. Another way to volunteer your time to work on a community project, you can join a local chapter of the club that contributes something to the community as well. So you can do anything in your community. You can volunteer at the library. There's so many things that you can do for your community, and I'll write a blog post about resources or something of how you can contribute to your community or things for people to do, especially adult-based things that have nothing to do with like you can go do like building houses, like helping to build houses, working at the Goodwill, all type of things. So volunteer to help individuals in your community. So volunteering is a great way to find acceptance, love, and belonging within your community. Many people volunteer at hospitals or nursing homes. Others choose volunteer activities that match their interests and preferences more. For example, if they prefer working outdoors, they might mow a lawn for an elderly neighbor. If they like making things, they might make blankets for people who have lost their homes in a fire. So there's so many ways. Like my grandma used to make hats for homeless people. So there's so many ways that you can contribute to volunteering or helping in your community. You can take classes. So classes are a fun and exciting and interesting, rewarding, and fun way to help you feel love and belonging. While you're there, you'll have a chance to meet other people who are interested in the same subject that caught your eye. You'll also interact with the instructor and get a chance to be a part of their group. Choose any class that appeals to you, whether it's an academic subject, a class where you learn to create something, or a fitness class. And on top of growing your skills and adding to your bag of tricks that you have for any needs that are unmet, you get to gain social situations and interactions and with people who like the thing that you like. So that's always good. You can talk to a counselor. You can join an esports team. So being on an esports team allows you to work with other people in a very immediate way. Team members rely on each other as they work together to increase their scores. As good team encourages each other, a good team encourages each member to do their best, shares information with each other about how to do better, and spends time talking with each other. So if you join an esports team, you have that sense of accomplishment if you guys are doing well and winning, and you have that sense of like camaraderie and teammate. You're learning a skill. You may be making money. You know, in the very first episode of this podcast, we talked about the need to have 5 hobbies. 1 hobby to make you money. There you go. Right? 1 hobby to gain a skill. So the last thing that you can do is talk to a counselor. Even with all the different ways to meet love and belonging needs, many people still struggle with it. It doesn't mean that they're unlovable, unacceptable, or unworthy of belonging to a group. There's usually a very different reason that they have trouble making these important social connections. Some of these reasons include social anxiety, past abusive relationships, childhood trauma, or other mental health issues like depression or anxiety. A counselor can help you deal with these issues so that you feel more comfortable with other people. They can also help you develop strategies for building stronger social relationships. They can teach you ways to think differently about social situations, and they can help you resolve issues with your significant other or family members. Finally, they can encourage you and offer emotional support as you make your way into the larger world. So like we said before, it's required for you to reach a level of fulfillment, to do things to meet your needs. And if love and belonging is a need that is not being met, and you're not having a behavior to meet that need and to be fulfilled from that, then you need to seek out some type of self-help, like whether you're looking things up online or figuring out ways that you can strategically change, or you need to reach out to someone else who's either a professional or an expert in, or someone you admire. Like getting a mentor, if mental health and counseling and that type of thing isn't your stilo, get a mentor. Find someone who you admire, who you think is great, and who you would strive to be like, and ask them to mentor you. Emulate them. Look at what they do and try to find the skills that they have and learn ways that you can incorporate those into your life. So the thing is, like, people who feel a sense of love and belonging help other people feel a sense of love and belonging. If you feel totally unconnected with your community, or if you don't feel love in your relationship, your partner probably doesn't feel love in your relationship either. And if they do, then there's some type of disconnect. Like, if your partner is out and outright lying to you, like, so say, we'll take an extreme situation. Like, your partner is a cross-dresser, and you feel 100% loved because your partner gives you intimacy, but you know nothing about that part of them. And they don't feel loved at all because they've never shared that with you, or they don't want to include you in that part of who they are. It's like you can be going without love and intimacy even if the people around you are getting it. So I want to encourage everyone to think about the list of things that we said that you can add. If this is a portion of your life that you're struggling with, or that you need more direction on, we're going to have 11 more episodes of love and belonging. More of them are going to be targeted specifically at like how you can volunteer in your community, other things like that. But I really appreciate you guys for coming and hanging out. And as always, the end of the episode is open for people to ask questions or comments or call in. I can open the video up so that we can see you directly. I have so much more stuff on love and belonging, but I want to wrap up at 1 hour because I found out that the Anchor podcast can only be 1 hour long, so I don't ever want to go over those. So let me end this. So if anyone has any questions about love and belonging, I'll read the chat, or I'll be here for a few minutes so we can talk about it. It's just kind of hard to get into the whole issue of intimacy and belonging, because I think a lot of people already understand that and understand that that's an issue where they struggle at. So like self-actualization includes meeting your deficiency needs, but also meeting places to grow. And a lot of people don't get to a level of self-actualization because they're not ever feeling a sense of love, because they're not ever being honest with other people. about who they are, or even if they are being honest with people, they're not being persistently honest with people. They're accepting relationships or interactions that don't feel wholeheartedly fulfilling to them. So, like you guys know, I'm non-monogamous, and in relationship research, only 4% of mammals are monogamous, and human beings are not one of them. So I think that society has conditioned people wholeheartedly to be in monogamous relationships, and that is harming society in a tremendous way, because I think that a lot more people are non-monogamous than we know about, and they're either afraid to talk about it, or they do talk about it, and then the societal pressure or the other person being able to claim righteousness shames people out of their non-monogamy, or people believe that you can't be non-monogamous forever, or that you can't be successfully non-monogamous. So I think that a lot of people struggle with that love and belonging portion, because if you're non-monogamous and you don't talk to your partner about it ever, or you have any type of secret or any type of portion of yourself that is not being assessed by you or being wholeheartedly hidden. Like, I believe some people don't know things about themselves because they don't try. But then it's like, if it's wholeheartedly hidden, you do know that about yourself and you just don't want to talk about it. Maybe you really you're extremely non-monogamous and you just don't want to tell them, and you know that you're non-monogamous, and you keep that from your partner, or you don't live in that truth with your partner, and then you feel like, oh, I'm not loved because my partner doesn't know this about me. I feel like that goes on so much more often than we allude to. So hopefully in this podcast, like I said at the beginning, we can get people who come on and talk about the way that they're loved, or you can learn through my love and belonging journey. But I really appreciate you guys for coming, and if you could give me a thumbs up on the episode, it helps me with the algorithm, and I appreciate you guys a lot for supporting my podcast, my first couple of episodes. This first beginning week is kind of did you guys remember in school, in college, where the first week was the syllabus, and then 2 days and you didn't really have to go? So I want you guys to do just this first week of intro to things before we get guests and get more activities or details or anything, because the first week is basic information about the basic topics. So I don't know, do you guys have any questions, anything about the episode? The episode will be live on... Thank you for the likes. I appreciate you. The 3 of you who liked it. I appreciate, you really don't understand. I appreciate you so much, because this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, to help the people around me be more happy, for myself to go on a happiness journey, to learn about these things. I'm learning about so many things that are applicable to my life that I didn't notice before. It was whoa, okay, now I can see. Like yesterday, how I was saying that every couple years, before I have to move, if I don't know where I'm moving, that I get so much anxiety, and how I can see now that that's because I'm having a physical need go unmet, and or that's being the prominent thing in my life. So I'm learning so much on this journey by by researching, and by looking up things and getting lessons ready for you. So I really appreciate you guys doing it with me. And I'm putting the notes from the show and the things from the show onto the Fairly Often blog. So it gives me a chance to work on the blog, and it gives you guys a chance to look at things that are up there. So I'm going to include the picture of the body and like what happens with with depression. Yesterday we talked about anxiety. Today we talked about depression. Tomorrow we talk about self-esteem. Tomorrow, self-esteem. So episode 4 of the blog, episode 4 of the podcast come tomorrow. I don't see any questions, comments, concerns. Please throw me a thumbs up if you can, and share the vlog or share the podcast, and I'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? Love you.
You have to be your biggest fan. And when things are really tough and they're really rough and nothing's working, but there's something inside of you that says, I just have to follow that. Because you don't know who you're going to meet, who you're going to meet, who you're going Because you don't know who you're going to meet, who you're
Wow.